Hi, Fuel Film guests. My name is Evan Luzai, and I'm a freelance camera assistant and also the editor of theblackandblue.com, which is a website that gives tips for filmmakers and camera assistants. And today I want to share some of my advice for you about choosing between a DSLR and a Red One camera. Both cameras have their advantages and disadvantages, and I think where I want to start is by talking about how the Red One camera is more suited for narrative pieces, for short films, for feature films, for anything with a story, really. Of course, all films have stories, but what I mean is scripted story in this case. And the reason for that is I did a feature film where we tried to use the Red camera run and gun style to do B-roll, and it just didn't work out. The camera's too heavy, it's too cumbersome. If you have prime lenses and you're swapping them out, it's just not very well suited. The Red camera's bread and butter really is being set up, doing a couple rehearsals, doing a take, and then moving on to the next setup. Of course, the DSLR, you can't argue with the price point. For as much money as it would cost to rent a Red camera for a day, you could buy a DSLR with a kit lens, just like the one that I'm using right now to record this video. I think if you're at the point in your budget where you can get the Red camera, but it's a little bit more money, or you could shoot on a DSLR, I think you'd be better well suited to go for the lower option. I think people obsess over the camera a little bit too much sometimes. And so my advice would be is go for the lower option and use that extra money to invest in things like production design, fly in that actor that you really wanted, or hire a really solid crew. It's not always about the camera. I mean, that's where everything filters through. But pay a little bit extra for things that you're going to see on screen and that aren't necessarily attached to the lens. I think with DSLRs, there's definitely some advantages, or disadvantages, I'm sorry. There's disadvantages with pulling focus. The sensor's so large that the depth of field gets so small, and there often aren't markings on still lenses for a camera assistant like me to look 5 feet to infinity or whatever distance I'm measuring the subject to. They also overheat very easily if you're out in the sun and constantly recording. And they also have a file size limit. I don't know how many of you know that. You can only record 4 gig file sizes, so you're limited on the amount of time you can record. Of course, the Red One, I've had so many of those cameras mess up on me. I had one that would go into time-lapse mode randomly without anybody ever touching it. I had one that anytime we rebooted it, probably had to do it like 4 or 5 times just to make sure the little boot dialog on the back of the camera came up. So both cameras definitely have their disadvantages, and neither is perfect. What they do have in common, however, is that if you can treat them right, if you know how to use them, both will give you great images. And I think that's the most important thing. The audience isn't going to see how easy the production was. They're going to see what ends up on the screen. With that said, I think story and character transcend all of this. I think if your story is great, your characters are great, nobody should be paying attention to the fact that it was shot on a DSLR or on a Red camera. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, it depends. And I know that's a very unsatisfying answer, but it's true. It depends on the style of shooting you do, it depends on the project and the look you're going for, it depends on your budget, it depends on the type of crew you can get. Having a Red camera with nobody who knows how to use it, is that better than getting somebody with a DSLR who can get great images from it? So consider all of these things before you make your choice. And also, don't obsess over it too much. If you're going to obsess over anything, obsess over your story, obsess over your characters. In the end, the audience isn't going to look at the screen and think, ooh, I wonder what lens they used or what camera they shot. Those are the wrong types of questions that you want them to be asking. You want them to be asking, what's going to happen next? Where is she going? What's happening to him? How is he feeling? Those are all the questions that you want racing through the audience's head. Well, I hope you guys found this video informative, and if you ever want to talk to me, feel free to stop by my website, theblackandblue.com, and contact me through there. I read every single email I get and try and respond to everyone as well. I'm also on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, so get at me through these channels, and I'd love to see some of your faces instead of this little lens that I'm staring into. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day at the event, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks!